Have you ever found yourself in the midst of a lively gathering, surrounded by the hum of voices and the easy flow of shared stories, yet sensing a quiet distance within, like you're standing on the edge of a vast ocean, waves of connection lapping at your feet while your thoughts drift to horizons others don't see? That subtle feeling of being a step apart, not disconnected, but attuned to a deeper current, can stir a tender mix of solitude and wonder, leaving you to ponder if this is a gentle isolation or the first whisper of something truly extraordinary stirring in your soul. If this touches a chord, that soft recognition of being wired just a little differently, not flawed or out of place, but uniquely resonant with life's subtler rhythms, know that you're brushing against a profound truth, the signs of an extremely rare personality, a constellation of qualities so distinctive they mark you as a luminous thread in the grand tapestry of existence, rare as the first light breaking over a still lake at dawn. Over this full 35 minutes of gentle exploration, we're inviting you to uncover 8 of those signs, not as rigid labels to pin on or limits to navigate around, but as loving reflections to celebrate what makes your spirit sing, transforming moments of self-questioning into quiet affirmations of your irreplaceable essence. These signs, drawn from the timeless flow of the human heart, reveal why you perceive the world with such depth, connect with such authenticity, and create with such quiet power, turning what feels like oddity into the very gift the universe placed in your hands. We'll linger in each one, weaving personal echoes that might mirror your own hidden stories, reflections to hold like smooth stones warmed by the sun, and soft invitations to pause and breathe into your own rarity, so that by the end, you'll carry forward not just understanding, but a blooming appreciation for the light you bring, a deeper sense of belonging to something infinite and beautiful. Find a comfortable place to settle now, where the world can soften around you, perhaps with a journal close if words wish to flow, or simply your open hands resting in your lap like vessels ready to receive. Breathe deep into your belly, feeling the gentle rise and fall, and let's embark on this journey of self-celebration together, one illuminating sign at a time, with curiosity as our compass and kindness as our light. You're not alone in your rarity. You're a vital note in the symphony of all that is. Ready? Breathe in wonder. Exhale any old shadows. And let's begin with sign 1. Before we illuminate the first sign, let's pause to ground ourselves in what rarity truly invites, because seeing it as a sacred offering rather than a puzzle to solve opens the heart to its beauty. The way it colors your days, deepens your connections, and calls you to live more fully in the flow of all things. Imagine rarity like a hidden gem nestled deep in a riverbed, its facets polished smooth by the endless caress of water's current, overlooked by the rush of the stream and the eyes that seek only the obvious glint on the surface, yet holding within a light so pure that, when the angle shifts just right, it refracts rainbows across the entire flow, transforming the ordinary path into a prism of color and wonder. It's not about standing above or apart in isolation. It's about being a unique refraction of the light that passes through every soul, shaped by the gentle currents of your experiences, your sensitivities, your quiet moments of turning inward to listen to the still small voice that speaks in whispers. These 8 signs are those facets, subtle at first, like the gem half buried, but profound in their capacity to change everything they touch, revealing a personality so attuned to the nuances of existence that you often feel like the only one hearing the music in the silence, sensing the poetry in the pause between breaths, or finding the sacred in what others pass by as mundane. They're rare not because they're hard to attain or hidden from view, but because they ask for a certain courage to embrace, the courage to honor your difference without apology, to trust that what feels like too much sensitivity or not enough conformity is precisely the measure the world yearns for, a balance to the loud and the linear. We'll explore each with the tenderness of a friend sharing secrets by firelight, weaving stories that might echo your own unspoken chapters, reflections to turn over like leaves in autumn's hand, and soft invitations to breathe and feel into how these signs live and breathe in you. So this isn't merely heard as words passing by, but felt as a gentle awakening, a quiet celebration that lingers in your heart long after the silence returns. Feel the permission settling now, like a warm breeze brushing your skin. There's no need to match these signs or measure yourself against them. They're mirrors reflecting back the beauty you've always carried, inviting you to see it with fresh eyes. Place a hand on your heart if it feels right. Breathe in the vastness of your own being. Exhale any lingering tales of not fitting or being too much. You're held in this space, in the loving current of all that makes you irreplaceable, a vital expression of the infinite. Ready for sign 1? Let's step into the light together, with curiosity as our gentle guide and compassion as our constant companion. Sign 1. You feel others' emotions like echoes resonating in your own chest. A deep, intuitive empathy that picks up the unspoken vibrations swirling in a room, absorbing joys and sorrows as if they were threads woven into the fabric of your heart, leaving you both enriched by the shared humanity and, at times, a little tender from the weight of carrying so much unseen. This isn't the polite, "I understand," exchanged in passing conversation, or the surface nod that keeps things light and safe. It's a full-bodied resonance, where a friend's hidden grief tugs at your throat like a lump you didn't place there yourself, or a stranger's quiet excitement sparks a warmth in your core that spreads without invitation, as if their heartbeats sync with yours for a fleeting, sacred moment, exchanging rhythms without a single word spoken. It's rare because most navigate the world through the filters of self-protection or casual detachment, dipping just far enough into the emotional waters to connect, but pulling back before the depths draw them under. Yet for you, the boundaries between me and we blur naturally, allowing a flow that turns ordinary encounters into profound communions, conflicts into opportunities for mutual understanding, and solitude into a necessary recharge from the world's endless emotional symphony. I remember a gathering under a canopy of stars one summer evening, laughter ringing out like bells in the night air. But beneath the surface, I felt a ripple of unspoken tension from one at the table, her smile fixed like a mask, her eyes holding a distance that spoke of burdens carried alone. And without planning or probing, I leaned in with a simple question that cracked the facade just enough for tears to flow, not in sorrow, but in the sweet release of being seen, her story unfolding like a flower opening to moonlight, the room shifting in that instant from polite exchange to a circle of true sharing, bonds deepening in the vulnerability that had been waiting all along. Reflection. Think of a time when your empathy bridged an unseen gap, turning a moment of disconnection into one of profound closeness. What unfolded in that exchange, and how did it leave you feeling both tender from the depth and powerful in the light you offered? Pause here if the memory tugs at you, letting it surface like a bubble rising from still waters. Notice the warmth spreading in your chest, the quiet knowing that this gift, though it asks much of your energy, weaves the world a little closer, heart by heart. To honor this sign in your days, try weaving a small practice. When you sense an emotion lingering in the air around you, place a hand on your heart and breathe into it, affirming softly, I hold space for this feeling, mine and theirs, with compassion and care. Feel the exchange, the light you offer flowing out, and the understanding returning. A gentle reminder that your empathy isn't a burden to bear alone, but a bridge to build together. This sign marks you as rare because empathy like yours isn't common in a world that often skims the surface. It's a sacred attunement, a way of being that turns me into, in the most beautiful ways, creating ripples of healing and connection that touch lives long after the moment passes. If this stirs a soft ice in your soul, a recognition of that resonant heart, hold it tenderly. Your empathy is a lantern in the fog, guiding not just others toward their light, but calling you home to your own infinite depths. As this resonance settles like a warm ember, will flow into sign 2, where solitude becomes your sacred forge. Sign 2. You crave solitude not as a retreat from the world's clamor or a hiding place from its demands, but as vital fuel for the quiet fire burning within. Recharging in the stillness where ideas bloom like wildflowers in untended meadows, thoughts deepen like roots seeking hidden springs, and your truest self emerges unmasked and radiant, ready to meet the day with a clarity that feels like coming home to the vastness of your own being. This isn't the reluctant withdrawal of someone overwhelmed by the constant pull of noise and expectation. It's a deliberate, soul-nourishing pilgrimage to the inner landscape where the heart speaks in whispers too subtle for the outer world's roar, where creativity stirs like a breeze through tall grass and insights arrive unbidden, like gifts left on the doorstep of your awareness. It's rare because our world so often glorifies the endless hum of togetherness, the illusion that business and visibility are the measures of a life well lived, leaving little space for the deep, restorative dive that solitude requires. Yet for you, those alone hours aren't voids to fill or emptiness to fear. They're electric with possibility, the fertile soil where your spirit's seeds take root, the canvas where the colors of your inner world paint their boldest strokes, emerging to infuse your interactions with a depth and authenticity that others sense but can't quite name. I recall a season when the days felt like a relentless current, pulling me from one obligation to the next. Conversations that skimmed the surface, tasks that demanded but didn't fulfill, until I claimed a pocket of solitude in the early morning light. Door closed to the world's invitations, simply sitting with a cup of tea steaming in my hands, and the silence wrapping around me like a familiar cloak. What began as a simple need for quiet unfolded into a cascade of clarity, ideas linking like stars, forming a constellation I'd overlooked, thoughts on purpose and path rising like mist from a warming lake. And hours later, I stepped back into the flow, not depleted, but alight with a renewed sense of direction. The day's demands suddenly navigable from that centered place of inner abundance. Reflection. Think of a time when solitude gifted you something unexpected, an idea that sparked a shift in your path, a clarity that steadied a storm raging within, or a quiet knowing that realigned your steps. What arose in that sacred hush? And how did it ripple outward into your world, touching lives or lighting corners you hadn't seen before? Pause here if the memory calls to you, letting it surface like a leaf floating up from the depths of a clear pond. Notice the energy it brings, the subtle strength in reclaiming that space as your own sanctuary, a forge where your light is tempered and brightened. To nurture this sign in the rhythm of your days, weave a small ritual of return. Set aside a pocket of alone time, even if it's brief. A walk without the distraction of voices or devices. A moment with a book that speaks to your soul. Or simply sitting with the breath as your companion. And ask softly in that stillness, what blooms here for me today? What seed waits to be watered? Feel the recharge unfolding, the way your rarity thrives in the hush, turning inward not as an act of separation, but as preparation for a fuller, more authentic presence in the tapestry of connections awaiting you. This sign marks you as rare because solitude for you isn't the shadow of loneliness, or the echo of avoidance. It's the alchemist's sacred lab, transmuting the ordinary energies of daily life into the extraordinary insights and creations that only you can bring forth, making your contributions to the world richer, your presence in relationships more profound and genuine. If this stirs the quiet seeker in you, a gentle pull toward that inner forge, hold it with gratitude. Your solitude is a sanctuary of becoming, a place where the infinite within you whispers its secrets, preparing you to step out with a light that illuminates not just your path, but the paths of those who walk beside you. As this recharge settles like dew on the leaves of a new dawn, will flow into sign 3, where questioning becomes your sacred quest for the unseen truths. Sign 3, you question everything, not from a place of restless doubt or cynical dismissal that builds walls of separation, but from a profound, soul deep hunger for deeper truth, peeling back the layers of the ordinary like the petals of a flower to reach the fragrant core, challenging norms and assumptions with a gentle persistence that uncovers hidden meanings, revealing the poetry and purpose woven beneath the surface of what seems solid and settled. This isn't the surface level skepticism that debates for the sake of winning, or the fear-driven why me that circles endlessly without landing in understanding. It's a luminous inquiry. What if there's more to this? A greater harmony waiting to be heard, that propels you to explore the unseen edges of ideas, relationships, and even the stories you tell yourself, turning everyday conversations into portals of revelation and familiar routines into rituals of rediscovery. It's rare because most move through life on the well-trodden paths of accepted wisdom, content with the maps handed down by habit or convention, avoiding the brambles of why that might upend the comfortable familiar. Yet for you, those questions are compasses of the spirit, guiding you through the fog of the known to clearer horizons of knowing, birthing innovations that shift perspectives, insights that light dark corners, and understandings that free the heart from chains of unexamined belief. I think of a time when a casual discussion on success unfolded at a gathering of friends, the air thick with the usual script of titles and treasures, everyone nodding in agreement to the surface tale. Until my quiet, why does it have to look like that? What if success is the quiet fulfillment of the heart's true call? Cracked the surface, just enough for stories to pour out. Regrets voiced for the first time. Paths less traveled shared like secrets long kept. The room transforming from a polite exchange of pleasantries to a circle of true unlearning, where one person's safe choice became a collective cautionary tale, and another's hidden dream sparked a ripple of encouragement that lingered long after the evening ended. Reflection. Think of a why that has reshaped your view of the world or yourself. What question opened a door you didn't know was there? And what unexpected treasure lay on the other side, waiting to be claimed? Pause here if the memory tugs at you, letting it rise like steam from a kettle set on a low flame. Notice the curiosity it stirs in your chest, the freedom that comes from not settling for the given answer, the way it invites you to live as a perpetual explorer of the soul's vast landscape. To cultivate this sign in the gentle rhythm of your days, weave a small practice of inquiry. In a routine moment or conversation, pause and ask softly to yourself or the flow around you, what deeper truth hides here? What unseen harmony calls to be heard? Feel the layers part like curtains drawn back from a window. The rarity of your seeking mind at work, turning the mundane into a doorway to the meaningful, the ordinary into an opportunity for awe. This sign marks you as rare because your questions aren't weapons wielded in defense or walls erected in isolation. They're keys forged in the fire of genuine wonder, unlocking doors to truths that free not just your own spirit, but those who have the grace to walk beside you in the asking, creating a shared journey of discovery that enriches the collective soul. If this stirs the eternal seeker in you, a spark of IACE, that's the call I've felt. Embrace it with open arms. Your whys are the world's wake up call, gentle but insistent, inviting all to see beyond the veil. As this questing spirit awakens, like the first bird at dawn, will flow into sign 4, where forgiveness becomes your quiet revolution of the heart. Sign 4 scene. You forgive easily, not from a place of naivety that ignores the sting or a desire to please that diminishes your own truth, but from a wellspring of wisdom that sees hurts as teachers in disguise. Releasing grudges like autumn leaves surrendering to the wind, choosing the freedom of an open heart over the heavy anchor of resentment, allowing space for growth and grace where others might choose to plant thorns of bitterness. This isn't the forced let bygones be bygones that simmers unspoken beneath a thin layer of civility, or the avoidance that pretends the pain never landed at all. It's a conscious, compassionate grace, an acknowledgement of the shared humanity in the one who wounded, their own unseen fears or shadows mirroring the vulnerabilities in your own heart, turning what could scar into wisdom that strengthens the spirit, mends rather than breaks, and opens the door to relationships reborn in deeper authenticity. It's rare because our world so often rewards the slow burn of holding scores. The righteous, they'll pay for that as a badge of unyielding strength, leaving little room for the vulnerability that forgiveness demands, the soft admission that clinging to pain serves no one, least of all the one who carries it. Yet for you, it's a natural rhythm of the soul. This too shall pass. And in its passing, I grow, that frees your energy for creation, for connection, for the joy of lighter steps forward into the unfolding mystery of life. I recall a time when words exchanged in the heat of a long, standing collaboration cut deeper than intended, leaving a rift that could have become a chasm. They betrayed my trust, End of story. The mind insisted, ready to build a narrative of separation. But in a moment of unexpected stillness during a walk by the water's edge, waves lapping like a lullaby, I chose forgiveness not for their sake, but for the sake of my own unfolding. This hurt has taught me the beauty of boundaries held with compassion, not walls of bitterness. I release it to the waves, letting it dissolve into the sea of all things. The release wasn't a burst of fireworks or an overnight miracle. It was a gradual unburdening, the anger's grip loosening like a knot worked free by patient fingers, clarity emerging on healthier paths forward, and months later, a chance encounter turning to reconciliation. The bond reborn richer for the grace that had allowed it to breathe. Reflection. Think of a forgiveness that surprised even you. What lesson bloomed from that release? Like a flower pushing through cracked soil, and how did it lighten your load, creating space for new growth in your heart's garden? Pause here if the memory calls, letting it wash over you like a cool stream on a warm day. Notice the ease unfolding in your chest, the quiet expansion that comes from not settling for the weight of old stories. To nurture this sign in the tender rhythm of your days, weave a small practice of release. At the close of each day, name a small hurt or self-judgment that lingers, then affirm with a hand on your heart. I forgive this for the wisdom it brings, for the light it allows to enter. I choose freedom now, open and whole. Feel the leaves fall from the branch, the tree breathing easier in the space created. This sign marks you as rare because forgiveness for you isn't a loss of power or a forgetting of truth. It's a liberation of the spirit, a cycle breaker that turns the wheel of pain into the spiral of peace, uplifting not just your own heart, but the hearts of those touched by your grace in a world so often dimmed by holding back. If this touches the forgiver in you, a soft release blooming in your heart, hold it close with gratitude. Your grace is a river carving canyons of kindness through the stone of old wounds, inviting all to drink from its clear waters. As forgiveness flows like a river finding the sea, we'll move to sign 5, where beauty reveals itself in the broken places. Sign 5V. You see beauty in the broken. The cracked vase that holds flowers with a defiant grace all its own. The scarred tree standing taller for the wounds it has weathered. The flawed friend whose imperfections make their light all the more precious and human. Finding poetry and perfection in what others dismiss as damaged or incomplete. Celebrating the raw artistry of existence in its most vulnerable forms. This isn't the curated aesthetic of flawless surfaces or the selective eye that airbrushes away the rough edges to fit ideals of whole and worthy. It's a wabi-sabi soul at work, embracing imperfection as life's most honest expression. The golden repair lines in kintsugi pottery that tell tales of survival and splendor, turning what was shattered into something more beautiful for having been mended with care. It's rare because our world chases the illusion of the unmarred, polishing and posting only the highlights, leaving little space for the tender truth that beauty often blooms most vibrantly from breakage, resilience from rupture, depth from the dents and dings that life etches into our stories. For you, those imperfections are sacred invitations, portals to the fuller human tale, reminders that nothing truly perfect was ever tested by time or trial, and in seeing them with eyes of wonder, you honor the whole, the ongoing becoming that makes every breath, every scar, every crack a verse in the poem of all that is. I think of a time wandering a forgotten garden on the outskirts of a bustling town, overgrown and wild, with vines reclaiming the paths, a rusted gate hanging crooked on its hinges like a weary sentinel, weeds thrusting up through cracked stone where flowers once bloomed in neat rows. Most passersby would see only neglect, a place past its prime, but I lingered, seeing the symphony in the surrender. The gates twist a natural sculpture shaped by wind and weather's hand, the weeds a testament to life's stubborn, joyful will to push through resistance, the whole a living poem of persistence and reclamation that moved me to sit on the mossy bench, tears coming not from sadness, but from the overwhelming beauty of it all. A quiet revelation that what the world calls ruin is often the canvas for creation's next masterpiece. Reflection. Think of a broken beauty that has touched you deeply, a person's scar that sparked a story of survival, a failed plan that led to an unforeseen grace, or a moment of personal fracture that birthed a strength you didn't know you possessed. What made it luminous in your eyes, and how did it shift your view of wholeness? Pause here if the image or memory calls to you, letting it arise like a photograph developing slowly in the darkroom of your mind. Notice the warmth it brings to your chest, the appreciation unfolding for the imperfect whole, the way it invites you to see your own cracks, not as flaws, but as the very places where your light shines through most brightly. To cultivate this sign in the gentle flow of your days, seek out one broken beauty each morning, a wilted bloom holding onto its last petal, a chipped cup that still warms your hands, a memory's rough edge that time has softened, and pause to affirm, in this imperfection, I see the art of being, the sacred story of endurance and grace. Feel the shift from judgment to joy, your rarity in full bloom as you turn what others overlook into a celebration of life's honest artistry. This sign marks you as rare because your eyes don't skip over the cracks or hasten past the bends. They linger with love, finding the light that dances through the fissures, turning the world's flaws into your personal gallery of wonder, a vision that not only heals your own heart, but invites others to see their own broken places as portals to beauty untold. If this stirs the artist and appreciator in you, a smile dawning at the splendor in the splintered, cherish it with an open gaze. Your vision is a lens the world desperately needs, revealing the splendor in the splintered, the whole in the wounded. As broken beauty glows like embers fanned to flame, we'll flow to sign 6, where intuition becomes your unseen, unwavering guide. Sign 6C. You trust your intuition like an inner compass, following those gut whispers and sudden knowings that lead to lucky turns and timely truths others attribute to chance. Navigating life's winding forks with a sense that defies the maps of logic but delivers the destinations of the soul. This isn't the hesitant, maybe born of overthinking's endless loops, or the bold guess thrown like dice in the dark. It's a quiet, embodied certainty, a felt sense rising from the depths, a tug in the belly saying, "This way lies openness," a stillness that settles on one choice amid a sea of swirling options, guiding you through fog-shrouded decisions when reason stalls and evidence lags behind. It's rare because our world so prizes the visible proof of data and deliberation, the step-by-step certainty of plans laid out in straight lines, dismissing the hunch or feeling as unreliable whimsy or wishful thinking. Yet for you, it's a reliable North Star, honed by years of listening in the quiet spaces, turning potential pitfalls into profound paths that unfold with a grace that feels almost orchestrated. I remember standing at a crossroads in the midst of a life transition, offers pulling me left toward the familiar comfort of known routines and right toward an uncharted venture that stirred both excitement and unease. Logic leaned left, with its promises of stability and predictable steps, but intuition hummed low in my core, a steady no to the safe harbor, a resonant yes to the open sea. Ignoring the noise of shoulds and spreadsheets, I followed that tug to the path less mapped, and what emerged was a collaboration that not only sustained my spirit, but ignited it, confirming once again that the inner voice's unerring aim often leads where the mind alone could never chart. Reflection. Think of a time when intuition steered you true through uncertainty. What did it feel like in your body? That knowing without needing to know all the details, and what unexpected treasure waited on the other side of that trust. Pause here if the memory rises like a tide, letting it replay in slow motion. Notice the confidence settling in your limbs, the trust that blooms when you honor the unseen ally within. To nurture this sign in the flowing rhythm of your days, weave a small practice of listening at decision points, big or small. Place a hand on your belly or heart. Breathe into the center and ask softly, what does my intuition say in this moment? What direction calls from the depths? Feel the compass spin gently, then point with clarity, and take one step in that direction, even if small, building the faith that your inner guide is as reliable as the stars. This sign marks you as rare because your intuition isn't mere guesswork or fleeting fancy. It's grace in motion, a direct line to the wisdom that flows through all things, bypassing the mind's mazes to deliver choices that resonate not just with survival, but with the soul's deepest song. If this quickens the navigator in you, a thrill at the edge of trusting the tug, lean into it with open curiosity. Your hunches are the world's hidden maps, charting courses of meaning that others can only dream of following. As intuition points true north, we'll move to sign 7, where giving becomes your boundless river of light. Sign 70, you give without keeping tally. Time, kindness, ideas, a listening ear in the quiet hours, pouring from a well that seems bottomless and ever replenishing, finding joy in the act itself rather than measuring the return, trusting that abundance circles back in waves seen and unseen, like the ocean's tide kissing the shore without counting grains of sand. This isn't the calculated exchange of "I'll help if they help in kind," or the performative generosity that seeks applause and acknowledgement. It's a natural overflow, a "here, have this," because it feels true to the moment, that leaves you lighter in spirit, the recipient fuller in heart, and the space between you richer for the unforced, effortless flow. It's rare because our world so often measures worth in the ledger of reciprocity, hoarding energy in the fear of depletion or scarcity, turning giving into a transaction weighed on invisible scales. Yet for you, it's the river's innate nature, carving canyons of connection without pausing to count the drops, replenished by the very act of release, the joy of seeing light kindle in another's eyes. I think of a time when a stranger at a quiet cafe, eyes heavy with the weight of unseen burdens, shared a fragment of their story over a spilled cup of tea. And without thought or tally, I offered not advice or solutions, but the simple presence of seeing, a nod that said, "I hear you," a shared silence that held space for their unfolding, a small gesture of handing them a napkin with a smile that said, "You're not alone in this." And in that unmeasured exchange, their shoulders dropped like burdens lifted. A tentative smile cracked the cloud that had shadowed their face, and later, an unexpected opportunity knocked at my own door, as if the universe tallied in its own generous, mysterious way, returning the light tenfold. Reflection. Recall a giving moment that returned joy in ways you couldn't have anticipated. What flowed from you freely in that instant? And what unexpected grace came circling back, reminding you of the infinite loop of abundance? Pause here if the memory calls, letting it warm you like sunlight filtering through leaves. Notice the fullness expanding in your heart, the ease that comes from giving without the weight of expectation. To nurture this sign in the gentle rhythm of your days, weave a small practice of open-handedness. Each day, offer one thing without strings, a compliment spoken from the heart, a moment of your full attention to someone in need, a resource shared because it feels right, and affirm softly, "I give freely from the well within, trusting the circle of light. Feel the river run unimpeded, your rarity in its endless joyful current. This sign marks you as rare because your giving isn't born from scarcity's grip or obligation's chain. It's sacred, a force that multiplies the light in a world often dimmed by holding back, creating cycles of kindness that uplift the collective soul in ways both seen and felt deeply. If this stirs the generous river in you, a quiet abundance rising like a spring, flow with it without hesitation. Your open hands are the world's quiet miracles, turning moments of lack into symphonies of enough. As giving circles like the seasons, will arrive at sign 8, where evolution becomes your eternal, graceful dance. Sign 80, you evolve constantly, shedding old skins like a snake, emerging renewed and radiant from its molt, embracing change not as a threat to be guarded against, but as life's sacred, rhythmic invitation to become more fully who you are, leaning into the unknown with a curiosity that births you anew in each season of the soul. This isn't the reluctant adaptation of "I have to change to survive," or the dramatic reinvention staged for applause and approval. It's a fluid, organic becoming. This no longer fits the shape of my spirit, so I step out of it with gratitude that honors growth's call, leaving behind beliefs that once bound like too tight shoes, habits that hindered like overgrown vines, identities that itched with the discomfort of outgrowing their measure, for the fresh air and open sky of who you're stepping into next. It's rare because most cling to the familiar shell of who they've been, fearing the vulnerability of the shed, the rawness of exposure, the emptiness before the new skin forms fully, preferring the known contours of comfort over the call to stretch into the larger self, waiting just beyond. Yet for you, it's a holy rite of passage, a dance with transformation where endings whisper, begin again, like a lover's promise, turning losses to launches that propel you forward, plateaus to peaks that reveal vistas you couldn't have glimpsed from the valley. I recall a turning point when a long-held role, nurturer, guide, creator, felt like a garment grown too tight across the shoulders. Success etched on the outside, but the soul within feeling stifled, longing for air. This served me well, shaped me kindly, but now it pinches, it's time to shed. The discomfort was real, the rawness of standing in that between space where old protections fell away and new form hadn't yet solidified, the uncertainty of what shape would emerge from the mold. But what arose was freer, fiercer, a version of me that attracted collaborations born from authenticity, insights that flowed like rivers after rain, freedoms I couldn't have worn in the old skin, each step lighter, each breath deeper in the space created. Reflection. Think of a shed skin that birthed you brighter. What cracked open in that moment of release? And what unexpected bloom waited on the other side, ready to unfurl in the light of your becoming? Pause here if the memory calls, letting it unfold like a flower in the slow grace of time. Lapse. Notice the liberation rippling through your limbs. the excitement of the empty space where possibility gathers like mist before dawn. To honor this sign in the flowing dance of your days, identify one old skin that feels tight, a belief no longer true, a habit that holds rather than helps, a role that fit once but pinches now. And affirm with a breath of release, I shed this with gratitude for what it taught. I welcome the new form rising, open and whole. Feel the molt complete, the renewal rising like the sun's first rays, your rarity in the grace of constant becoming. This sign marks you as rare because your evolution isn't a desperate scramble for survival or a performance for the world's gaze. It's a celebration of the soul's eternal unfolding, a perpetual becoming that inspires those around you to dance their own changes, turning the wheel of life from stagnation to sacred motion. If this quickens the transformer in you, a thrill at the edge of what's next, step into it with arms wide. Your constant becoming is the world's ongoing miracle, a reminder that we are all rivers carving new canyons, ever flowing toward the sea of all that is. As evolution dances on, our exploration circles back to its heart, ready to close with a gentle embrace. Friends, we've wandered deep into the luminous landscape of your rarity over this time together. From the empathetic heart that echoes the unspoken songs of souls around you, the solitude that forges your inner fire in the quiet forge of stillness, the questing spirit that questions to uncover truth's hidden pearls, the forgiving grace that releases to make room for light, the beauty-seeing eye that finds splendor in the broken and bent, the intuitive compass that guides through fog with unerring grace, the generous river that gives without end or expectation, and the evolutionary dance that sheds and renews in endless becoming. Signs that illuminate not just the contours of who you are, but the extraordinary gift your presence weaves into the shared tapestry of existence. These aren't mere labels to collect or limits to navigate like hurdles on a track. They're lanterns hung along the path of your unfolding, lighting the way to a deeper self celebration, transforming the quiet, "Why am I like this?" into a resounding, "How blessed the world is to have me as I am." You've reflected, perhaps recognized facets of your own light in these mirrors, felt the warmth of being seen in your uniqueness without condition or comparison. Carry that glow forward now, letting it infuse the rhythm of your days with a quiet, unshakable confidence. Your interactions with a deeper authenticity that draws others near. Your choices with the boldness of one who knows their rarity is not a solitary spark, but a vital flame in the great fire of all things. Revisit these signs whenever doubt clouds the horizon or comparison dims your shine. Ask which one calls loudest in this moment, and let it remind you, you're not the odd note out of tune. You're the harmony the melody needs, the color that makes the canvas breathe. If this sparked a recognition in your soul, a smile dawning at the beauty of your own light, smash that light to honor the rarity you've embraced. Subscribe for more journeys into the heart of being uniquely, gloriously you, and comment below your top sign. Plus one way you'll celebrate it in the coming days, whether a moment of empathy offered freely or a question asked with fearless curiosity. Share this exploration with a friend who feels different in the deepest, most beautiful way. Your mirror could be the revelation that helps them see their own gems gleaming. You're not alone in your rarity. We're a constellation of uniques, each star essential to the night's splendor, shining together in the infinite sky. Until our next shared wonder, embrace your light with open arms. The world is brighter, fuller, more alive for it. Fade out with grace, carrying your rarity like a crown.